This happened my freshman year of college. I was very excited to move into dorms and meet my first ever roommate. About a week before school started, the dorms threw a fun little mixer party where everyone gets dressed up and meets their hallmates and dorm RAs. I got ready to go and asked Anne, my dorm mate, if she wanted to come along. She said she didn't like people and didn't want to go. I decided not to bother her and went alone. When I got back about 2 hours later, Anne was sitting on my bed, facing the door. I felt really creeped out. She asked me where I'd been for so long. I told her I had gone to the mixer. It seemed like she was really angry with me. This was the first time I thought she was weird. Everything just got worse after that first night. She started doing really weird things like skipping her classes so she could wait for me outside of mine. She would draw pictures of me and leave them on my bed with notes saying they were for me. She's gone through my phone when I left it unattended. Anne would always stay home, despite me trying to get her to go out and do social things. My brother was a senior that year and attended the same college. He was living in an apartment about a 5-minute drive from the dorm and liked to host small parties. I invited Anne to one of his parties, and surprisingly, she went. When we got home, she revealed to me that she had stolen a cup from his house as a souvenir to remember the night. I told my RA about this. However, she said Anne was not doing anything threatening, so I couldn't change rooms. One night, I went to a late movie with a guy, and my phone was off. When I turned it back on, Anne had called me 20 times and sent me 32 text messages. She was calling my mother and the cops, saying that I'd gone missing. When I got home, Anne was sitting on my bed waiting for me. I spoke with the university policeman who came to the dorm, and I told him I was fine and apologized for the disturbance. Throughout the semester, I started to notice random things, like my hairbrush, random pairs of panties and clothes had gone missing. I decided to look through her drawers and found she had a few pairs of my worn underwear. I went to tell my RA, but she said I could not prove they were mine and I should not have gone looking through her drawers. I could not prove anything, and I had to live with this crazy girl. The whole weirdness of the situation climaxed one night. Anne had left a copy of the Old Testament on my bed. When I opened it, she had tied my hair collected off my brush into a cross with her hair. I knew it was our hair because my hair is jet black and her hair is light blonde. Terrified to be in my room, I fled to my brother's house, leaving all my belongings behind. Later that night, I logged into my Facebook account and I had 40 new notifications. Anne had logged into my Facebook from my computer and tagged me in about 30 pictures. Anne had screenshots of arbitrary conversations I had with friends and posted them on my wall, along with a few pictures she'd taken of me. I showed these to the RA the next day and finally said I could change rooms. Fortunately, after the end of the semester, Anne got into an exchange program and moved to France, so I never had to see her again on campus.
Number 2.
I'd been having problems with my dorm roommate since the beginning of the semester. She didn't shower or wash her clothes regularly, left dry top ramen noodles all over the floor for me to step on, didn't wash her hands or flush the toilet, sighed in a way that sounded like sex noises constantly. She showered with the door open and got water everywhere, and so many more things that I hated. Basically, every single pet peeve I had was born in this girl. At first, I blamed it on her not understanding American etiquette. She's a foreign student from China. But then things started to get creepy. When I went home for the weekend, a few weeks into the semester, I gave her a heads up that I would be gone. She did that weird sex sigh again and looked sad and betrayed at the same time, like I was doing something wrong by leaving her. She said something along the lines of, "Why are you leaving me? I don't like sleeping in my room by myself. I feel more comfortable with you here, with me." Mind you, I only met this chick on move-in day, and I only said a few words to her. I should have known to keep my guard up after that. Every once in a while, she would stare off into space longingly for half an hour. Sometimes, I would catch her watching me study out of the corner of my eye. After a long day of studying in the library, I went to the patio in our dorm to get some ice from the machine and found her with her head on a table with her eyes wide open, staring at something in the distance. I think she scared off the guy I like, because he stopped coming around to see me once he found out she was my roommate. After she creeped me out so much, I started staying away from my dorm, only going to sleep and grabbing things I needed. She seemed like a nice person, but I couldn't live with her anymore. Today I emailed my RD that I wanted a room change. I told her that I wasn't comfortable living in my dorm room anymore with this girl. I was sitting in my room while my roommate was out today when I hear a banging on the door. I was then greeted by two solemn-looking campus police officers and the RD of my building. They calmly asked me where my roommate was, but I had no idea. I told them her usual lurking spots and went back to what I was doing. I knew something was off. I asked them what was up, and they just ignored my question and asked where she might have been. The police officers at my campus are usually really pleasant looking too, since there isn't much crime on my campus and they don't have very much to do. 30 minutes later, I hear banging on the door again. I'm greeted by my roommate, who has tears streaming down her face. She rushes past me to her bed and plops down. She starts wailing, screaming, and eventually hyperventilating. I thought maybe someone close to her died, and was feeling sorry that I had asked for a room change during her time of need. I could only make out a few bits and pieces of what she was trying to say to the RD. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I promise I won't do it again." The police officer pulls me aside and quietly asks if there's anything in the room she can hurt herself with. I gesture to a drawer where I know I've seen a small knife with a wooden sheath on occasion. He went through the drawer but didn't find anything. Suddenly, she was right behind him, screaming, "Don't you dare go through my things! We don't want you to harm yourself. Please calm down. Do you think I'm going to harm my roommate? I wouldn't do that. She's just silly. I'm not going to hurt anyone. I just want to be left alone." By then, the RD dragged me out of the room and told me what was going on. She got into a big fight with her best friend, I didn't think she had any, and started sending her threatening emails and even threatened to kill herself. By this time, I was in complete shock. I just saw someone completely lose it right in front of me. She told me that she had received my room change request and was going to meet with me tomorrow. I told her I would stay with a friend for the night. After my roommate calmed down a bit, I went into the room when two RDs were talking to her, quickly packing a night bag. She apologized for acting so crazy. I half-heartedly accepted, grabbed my shit, and got out of there. I was waiting in my dorm common area for my friend to get back in her dorm room when I realized I forgot a blanket. I went inside thinking that someone was going to be in the room keeping an eye over her, but she was alone. She glared at me as I walked past her to grab my blanket. There was pure hatred in her eyes. "Where are you going?" I have never heard her use this tone of voice with anyone before. She was livid. "I'm gonna stay with my friend for the night." "Why?" "Because of me?" I swear I saw smoke rising from the top of her head and a vein in her forehead was about to burst. "Sleepover." in the happiest tone I could muster. We have a midterm on Friday. Not completely untrue, I'm just glad I'm quick on my feet. I got out of there and nearly ran to my friend's dorm. I talked to the RD, and there are no more rooms open in my housing complex, and if I want to move to another complex, my parents would have to pay an extra $1,000. They're furious and want me to move immediately because the police officer was incompetent. He jeopardized my safety by asking me that question in front of her. They don't want to pay for me to change rooms because it was my university's fault for putting me in this awkward situation. I'm just afraid that she's going to take this out on me. I don't think I can return to my dorm. She looked like she was out for blood when I came back.